Welcome to the Champions League Water Polo highlights. After the first round of the quarter-final stage, all the undefeated teams are still unbeaten. Pro Recco versus Marseille finished 15-8. Novi Beograd versus Jadran finished 15-11. Barceloneta versus Brescia 12-8, with Ferencvaros versus Olympiacos 11-9. Title holders Pro Recco is one of the teams that has entered the quarter-final stage without defeats, and the Italians were big favourites against Marseille. In the last 5 contests between these two teams, it finished with a comfortable win for Pro Recco. Stylianos Argyropoulos was unstoppable at the beginning. After the first goal he scored came an exclusion, after which De Fulvio gave Pro Recco a 2-0 lead. Marseille had opportunities, but for the first goal they had to wait until the 4th minute when Van Peperstrata snuck from the right wing for 2-1. The guests were trying to stay close, and 2 minutes before the end of the first quarter it was 3-2. The best scorer from the recent World Championships, Thomas Vernu, manages a goal from the 2 metres in an extra player situation. Then came the Pro Recco avalanche. First Echenique for 4-2, and Younger, who scores from 5 metres in a man-up attack 6 seconds before the end of the first quarter. The Italians continued their dominance in the second quarter. Cannella scores a beautiful goal through a lot of hands for 6-2. It took Marseille more than 8 minutes of play to score the next goal, and then it was already too late. Christian Manhurt's goal from 5 metres reduced Recco's lead to 6-3. Ben Halleck is at the right place at the right time for the last goal in the first half, the American with a nice goal for 7-3. Nothing changed in the second half. Pro Recco was scoring goals and Marseille was not using their opportunities. Yoki Grata scored for 8-3 using a quickly organised team counter-attack. After that, Del Lungo stops Marseille 2 times in a row. Spajic cannot score from the 3 metres after a nice turn, and a minute later Krasiliad tries from the outside, but Del Lungo stops again. Pro Recco was leading 11-3 when Bordigas earned a penalty 44 seconds before the end of the third quarter. Manhurt took the responsibility, but Del Lungo reads the shot again. In the last quarter, Pro Recco was certain that victory is secured. Marseille managed to score 4 goals to the Italians' 3, so it ended 15-8 for Pro Recco. Cannella and Younger were the best scorers with 3 goals for Pro Recco. Krasiliad and Vucevic with 2 for Marseille. A lot of satisfaction in the Chiavari pool, the last game in this season's Champions League there. The remaining 2 home games in the quarter-final group will be played in the open pool in Recco. Novi Beograd welcomed Jadran split in the second match of the Group A. Let us remind you that in the first part of the season, the Belgraders were first in their group with 5 wins and 1 loss, while Jadran qualified for the quarter-final group from second place with 3 wins, 2 losses and 1 draw. A much more uncertain match was expected at the swimming pool in Novi Beograd, especially if we know that the squad from Split had as many as 7 world champions from the recent championship in Doha. The guests even started well. They took the lead with a goal from Vacevic after a nice shot from outside. However, only a minute later, Granados responded with a goal from the counter from the left wing. Vucinic gave the home team the first lead, again from a counter-attack, 3 minutes before the end of the first quarter. This was followed by a deluge by the visiting team, which was completed by one of the best lefties of all time, Filipovic, with a goal for 5-1, 24 seconds before the end of the first quarter of the game. However, the Serbian champions did not stop there either. After half of the second quarter passed without goals, Drašović scored with an outside shot for 6-1. And the 7th goal in a row from the Belgrade team was the work of Filipović again a little later. The goalless streak of Split, which lasted almost 15 minutes, was interrupted by Biljaka about 20 seconds before the end of the half. But it was already too late. Novi Beograd had a huge advantage of 8-2 halfway through the game. The squad from Split did a little better in the rest of the game, and with 2 quick goals, they reduced the gap a little. Bucic was especially nice for 8-4. But that didn't frighten last year's finalists. Until the end of the 3rd quarter, it was played goal for goal. So after 24 minutes of play, the scoreboard showed +4 for the hosts. So that there would be no uncertainty until the end, Martinovic made sure of it with a goal from the left wing immediately in the first attack of the last period of the game. Until the end, it was only a matter of how big of a margin Novi Beograd would make. The title of best player of the match half a minute before the end was confirmed by the great Alvaro Granados with his 6th goal. The last goal of the match was scored by Vulic 7 seconds before the end for the final 15-11. In the first match of Group B, the Spanish champions Barceloneta met the Italian runners-up Brescia. The Catalan team was dominant in the first part of the competition with 6 wins in as many games. Brescia was less convincing. With 3 wins, 2 losses and 1 draw, they managed to secure the quarter-final group. Barceloneta was considered the favourite, and that showed from the start of the match. Already in the first attack, after 30 seconds, Martin Famera scored from the left wing. And in the middle of the first quarter, Marc Larumbe increased the lead from the penalty. Brescia scored its first goal less than 2 minutes before the end, when Alessandro Balsarini, who was also accurate from 5 metres away. However, the home team went to the first break with a 2-goal advantage after Paulo Garcia's goal with an extra player. The Spaniards reached their biggest lead with a great goal by Felipe Peronne at the opening of the second period of the game. The Italians managed to come back with 2 consecutive goals, and Jacopo Alessiani's goal in the middle of the second quarter was particularly beautiful. But Barceloneta secured a convincing lead by half-time. First, for 6-4, Zovic scored from the right wing at the end of the attack. And immediately after that, in the next attack, Larumbe shot from the outside for +3. There were no goals for a long time in the 3rd quarter. Only in the 5th minute did Brescia manage to score through Maxwell Irving in a man-up situation. Alberto Munarriz made sure that Barceloneta went to rest more calmly, from 5 metres just 13 seconds before the end. Practically all doubts about the winner were solved by Peronne, with another goal from the penalty at the opening of the last quarter. It's interesting that Barceloneta had as many as 4 5-metre shots, of which they used 3. Until the end of the game, goal for goal was played, so the difference remained the same. The last goal for Brescia was scored by Vincenzo Dolce from the left wing, 1 minute and 20 seconds before the end. The final result was set by Munarriz with a goal 10 seconds before the end. In Barceloneta, Peronne was the most effective with 3 goals, and goalkeeper Aguirre had 11 saves. At Brescia, Dolce, Balsarini and Irving each scored 2 goals. In the second round, Barceloneta visits Olympiacos on the 20th of March, and on the same day, Brescia will host Ferencvaros. On Saturday night, we closed off the first round of the quarter-final stage in Budapest. Ferencvaros faced off Olympiacos in another fixture from Group E. Quite a difficult task in front of the guests from Greece, and to refresh your memory, it's because the Fradi are unbeaten in every single competition this season. And it stayed that way indeed, but let's go back to the beginning. It was goal after goal in the first quarter, starting off with Stylianos Argyropoulos, an ex-Olympiacos man. Quite a guidepost for this match when it comes to his efficiency, because it was the Greek who finished the match with the most goals scored when it comes to the home team. Another Greek national team player's goal came along, but this time for the opponents. Konstantinos Giacomo scored for 1-1 and matched the efficiency of his national team colleague by the end of the match. Even though Martin Vamos, the ex-Ferencvaros player, scored from the counter-attack and gave Olympiacos the lead, it was cancelled in the next two attacks. First a goal from power play, the work of Eduardo Di Soma, and then the first 5-metre penalty, scored by Dusan Mandic, 3-2 at the end of the first quarter. The second one started with goal number 2 for Argyropoulos, another power play goal for the Fradi to make it 4-2. The following attack for Olympiacos resulted in the first 5-metre penalty for the guests. Yanis Fontoulis stepped up, but Somavogel kept his net intact. Andro Bushle made sure the guests got a second chance, and this time Jenny Dunias found the back of the net to make it 4-3. Shots by Argyropoulos and Alexandros Papanastasiou made it 5-4 after 16 minutes. Yet again, only one goal of advantage for the home side. The third quarter offered the least, efficiency-wise. The home side managed to find the back of the net 2 times to make it 7-4, but also did the necessary bit of defensive work, starting with Somavogel between the posts. Both powerful and precise from the right side, Mandic scored his second, while Adam Nagy opted for a diagonal shot from the left side for his first goal 67 seconds before the third period ended. A lack of goals in the third quarter was definitely compensated with a fiery ending to the game. The last 8 minutes resulted with 9 goals, and the biggest advantage for Ferencvaros thanks to Mandic and Vince Vigvari, who made it 9-4. What followed was 2 consecutive goals by Fontoulis and Jenny Dunias to catch up with the home side and set the score to 9-6. But the Fradi proved to be too strong once again. Around 2 minutes before the end of the game, the hosts had a 4-goal lead twice, but it was reduced to 11-9. The final result with a final goal from Jenny Dunias for the night. That's it for this edition of the Water Polo Champions League highlights. There's not a lot of time for the players to relax in the Champions League. The next round comes in less than 2 weeks. Jadran split welcomes Recco, and Marseille plays against Novi Beograd in Group A. Group B brings the most exciting match of the round, Barceloneta versus Olympiacos in the fight for the final 4. And Brescia against Ferencvaros is the last match of round 2.